Hey Switch fans, welcome back to Switch Top. February 2026 is absolutely packed with incredible releases for both the Nintendo Switch and Switch 2. We've got everything from action RPGs to survival horror, remasters to brand new IPs. Let's jump right into the top 20 games you need to keep on your radar this month. Bandit Trap is a chaotic, multiplayer-focused game coming to Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Switch 2 on February 6, 2026, built around an asymmetrical 3 versus 1 setup that blends action, strategy, and physics-driven humor. Each match pits one player as the Trapper against 3 bandits, with the Trapper's goal being to defend their home and treasure by setting up a wide range of interactive traps during a short preparation phase. These traps include spring-loaded gadgets, heavy objects, flamethrowers, and environmental hazards that rely heavily on timing and physics rather than pure reflexes. The bandits, on the other hand, must work together to sneak through the house, dodge traps, grab valuables, and escape before time runs out or they're taken out. Environments are destructible and highly reactive, meaning matches constantly evolve as walls break, objects move, and plans fall apart in unexpected ways. Bandit Trap doesn't focus on a traditional story, instead using a light heist versus defense setup to support fast, replayable matches driven by player creativity and emergent moments, making it a strong pick for party play and online sessions on Switch and Switch 2.
Try to loot all 10 treasures scattered in our prepared house and escape from the robotic hands of our trapper. This little fella packs all the...
Ys 10 Proud Nordics is an enhanced action RPG coming to Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Switch 2 on February 20th, 2026, serving as the definitive version of Ys 10 Nordics, with expanded content and refined systems. You once again control Adol Kristen in fast, real-time combat that emphasizes fluid swordplay, quick dodges, and ability-based combos, designed to keep battles aggressive and momentum-driven. A key gameplay focus is the duo system, where Adol fights alongside Karja, allowing coordinated attacks and shared skills that add tactical depth. Exploration is tightly woven into progression through mechanics like Mana Hold, which lets you interact with the environment in new ways, reach hidden areas, and solve traversal-based challenges. Proud Nordics also adds new activities, such as the Muspelheim combat trials, offering tougher encounters that reward mastery of the combat system. The story takes place around the Obelia Gulf, following Adol and Karja as they confront the mysterious Grieger while uncovering secrets tied to the Nordic-inspired setting, with new story content and characters further expanding the lore without changing the core narrative flow. Raiden Fighter's Remix Collection is a classic arcade-focused shoot-'em-up package launching on Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Switch 2 on February 26, 2026, bringing together 3 iconic vertical shooters: Raiden Fighters 2, Operation Helldive, and Raiden Fighters Jet. Gameplay stays true to the fast, high-intensity arcade formula, putting you in control of advanced fighter jets as you navigate vertically scrolling stages filled with dense enemy waves, tight bullet patterns, and large, screen-filling bosses that demand sharp movement and precise shooting. Each title is included in multiple versions, offering subtle gameplay differences and adding replay value for experienced players chasing high scores. While there's no traditional narrative, the setting follows the familiar Raiden sci-fi premise of defending Earth against overwhelming invading forces, with the focus clearly placed on action and mastery rather than story progression. The collection adds modern quality-of-life features such as quick retries, difficulty options including a beginner-friendly mode, stage and boss selection, online leaderboards, and a remixed soundtrack alongside the original music. BlazBlue Entropy Effect X is a fast-paced 2D action roguelite coming to Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Switch 2 on February 12, 2026, reimagining the BlazBlue universe through a single-player, combat-driven experience. Instead of traditional versus fighting, the game focuses on side-scrolling action built around precise movement, stylish combos, and character-specific combat systems that stay true to the series' identity. Each run drops you into the ever-changing sea of possibility, where stages, enemy placements, and upgrades shift dynamically, encouraging experimentation and build variety. You control characters with distinct playstyles, unlocking new skills, passive effects, and combo routes as you progress, making every run feel mechanically different. The roguelite structure rewards mastery and adaptation, while progression systems gradually expand your combat options. Story-wise, Entropy Effect X introduces an original narrative centered on a collapsing world and a research experiment designed to prevent its destruction, with fragments of the plot revealed through repeated runs and character encounters. Calamity Angels Special Delivery is a light-hearted RPG coming to Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Switch 2 on February 17, 2026, mixing traditional turn-based combat with delivery-focused strategy and unpredictable party dynamics. You lead a small team of couriers traveling across the Orkotris region, taking on delivery contracts that require careful planning, smart routing, and risk management. Progression revolves around choosing jobs from a bulletin board, packing parcels into limited inventory space that also holds items and special Omoi power, and moving across a board-style world map where each stop can trigger battles, shops, story events, or boss encounters. Combat is turn-based but intentionally chaotic, as party members have their own personalities and moods, meaning they may ignore commands or act independently if unhappy, forcing you to adapt on the fly rather than rely on perfect planning. Between runs, you manage equipment, crew composition, and delivery strategies while dealing with monsters and rival delivery teams competing for dominance.
One sheep.
Death Howl is a dark, atmospheric RPG coming to Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Switch 2 on February 19, 2026, blending Souls-like challenge with deck building and grid-based combat into a tightly focused single-player experience. You play as Ro, a hunter driven by grief who enters a fractured spirit world in an attempt to bring her son back from the dead, with the story unfolding through exploration rather than heavy exposition. Gameplay revolves around tactical encounters on grid-based battlefields, where every action is dictated by a customizable deck of over 100 ability cards that define movement, attacks, defense, and special effects. Positioning and timing are critical, forcing careful planning rather than brute force. As you explore multiple interconnected regions, you face a wide range of enemies and demanding bosses, learning patterns through repeated attempts while refining your deck and discovering shamanic totems that enhance or modify card effects. Progression emphasizes adaptation and mastery, with each defeat feeding into smarter builds and stronger synergies, reinforcing the game's themes of loss, perseverance, and survival within a haunting, myth-inspired world. Gear.Club Unlimited 3 is an arcade-style racing game coming to Nintendo Switch 2 on February 19, 2026, continuing the series' focus on accessible yet detailed car racing and customization. Gameplay centers on racing a wide selection of licensed vehicles across varied environments, including coastal roads in the French Mediterranean and high-speed routes through Japan, with tracks designed to mix tight corners, long straights, and dynamic elevation changes. Car customization plays a major role, allowing you to upgrade performance parts, fine-tune handling, and adjust visuals to suit different race conditions. A new highway mode adds a fresh challenge by placing you in traffic-heavy roads where speed, positioning, and quick reactions are key. Beyond racing, the game introduces a light management layer where you build and expand your own gear club, recruit staff, and grow your reputation across regions through victories and progression. While there's no deep narrative, this club-building structure provides context and motivation, and local split-screen multiplayer keeps the experience social and competitive, making it a solid pick for racing fans on Switch 2. Resident Evil Village Gold Edition is the complete survival horror experience coming to Nintendo Switch 2 on February 27, 2026, bringing one of the series' most acclaimed modern entries to Nintendo hardware with all major expansions included. The game is played primarily from a first-person perspective, blending tense exploration, puzzle solving, and resource-driven combat as you control Ethan Winters, searching for his kidnapped daughter in a remote European village overrun by grotesque creatures and powerful bosses. Combat emphasizes careful ammo management and deliberate encounters, while exploration rewards attention to environmental details and hidden paths. The Gold Edition includes the Winters expansion, adding a new story chapter centered on Rosemary Winters that expands the narrative beyond the original campaign, along with additional mercenaries content and extra modes. A third-person camera option is also included, offering a different way to experience the same carefully paced horror. Storytelling leans heavily on atmosphere and environmental cues, gradually revealing the village's dark secrets and tying together the Winters family arc in a more complete and polished package.
It's just a local tale.
Tales of Berseria Remastered is an action RPG coming to Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Switch 2 on February 27, 2026, offering an enhanced version of the dark and character-driven entry in the Tales series. You play as Velvet Crow, a young woman consumed by betrayal and loss, who sets out on a revenge-fueled journey across the world of Midgand, gradually forming uneasy alliances with a morally complex cast of companions. Gameplay is built around fast-paced, real-time combat, allowing free movement in battle arenas, fluid chaining of physical and magical RTs, and strategic use of the soul gauge to maintain offense and trigger powerful break soul abilities. Party management and mechanics like Switch Blast add tactical depth by letting you swap characters mid-combo to extend pressure or adapt to enemy behavior. The Remastered edition includes visual improvements, quality of life features such as clearer navigation and expanded settings, and previously released DLC content, making progression smoother and more flexible.
I am a monster! I am a Therian! The hearts are yours!
Very well. It is time.
Borderlands 4 is the next main entry in the looter-shooter series, arriving on Nintendo Switch 2 on February 27, 2026, bringing its trademark blend of chaotic gunplay and RPG progression to Nintendo hardware. Gameplay sticks to a first-person perspective built around fast, aggressive combat, constant movement, and an endless stream of procedurally generated weapons with wildly different effects, encouraging experimentation and build variety. New traversal options expand mobility during fights and exploration, making encounters more vertical and dynamic, while solo play and drop-in co-op support keep the experience flexible. The game is set on the alien world of Kairos, where you step into the role of a vault hunter, facing a powerful tyrant known as the Timekeeper, pushing the series into a fresh narrative arc following the events of Borderlands 3. Storytelling leans on the franchise's signature mix of over-the-top humor, eccentric characters, and sci-fi chaos, while mission-driven exploration and loot progression remain the core motivation.
Be advised, a citywide curfew has been enacted. Violators will be shot on sight.
4PGP, short for 4-Player Grand Prix, is an arcade-style racing game coming to Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Switch 2 on February 5, 2026, built around fast, accessible competition with a strong focus on local and online multiplayer. Gameplay centers on high-speed racing, with formula-style cars across a selection of global tracks, each playable in multiple directions to increase variety and replay value. The driving model is intentionally approachable, prioritizing smooth handling and tight cornering over heavy simulation, making it easy to pick up while still rewarding clean racing and track mastery. Multiple modes are available, including quick races, full championships, and time attack challenges, supporting both solo play and up to 4 players in split screen, with expanded online and sharing features on Switch 2. Difficulty options and driving assists allow players of different skill levels to compete together comfortably. There's no traditional story mode, with progression instead focused on unlocking new cars, improving lap times, and climbing leaderboards, reinforcing the game's arcade roots and emphasis on pure racing fun. Chromagun 2 Die Hard is a first-person puzzle game coming to Nintendo Switch 2 on February 12, 2026, expanding the color-based mechanics of the original into more complex and creative challenges. Gameplay revolves around using the Chromagun to shoot primary colors onto walls, objects, and surfaces, mixing hues to activate switches, open pathways, and manipulate the environment through color-based attraction systems that cause objects to react to matching colors. Puzzles grow increasingly intricate as levels introduce new rules, shifting spaces, and layered interactions that demand careful planning and experimentation rather than quick reflexes. While the game is presented from a shooter perspective, combat takes a backseat to logic and spatial reasoning, focusing on problem-solving and environmental awareness. The story continues the series' playful sci-fi tone, exploring the strange technology behind color manipulation and the corporation responsible for it through lighthearted dialogue and environmental storytelling. Path of Mystery, A Brush with Death is a narrative-driven mystery adventure coming to Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Switch 2 on February 26, 2026, focusing on investigation, character interaction, and time-based storytelling rather than action. You play as Doppo Akazawa, a college student with the unique ability to travel back in time, tasked with uncovering the truth behind a 30-year-old murder case that was officially closed but left full of unanswered questions. Gameplay revolves around exploring environments across different timelines, examining clues, questioning suspects, and revisiting key moments from the past to uncover inconsistencies and hidden connections. The time travel mechanic allows you to observe events from multiple perspectives, making cause and effect a central part of solving the mystery. Progression is structured episodically, with each chapter revealing new information and deepening the overall case. The story centers on the death of a renowned artist and the suspicious circumstances surrounding the original investigation, using dialogue-driven scenes and atmospheric presentation to build tension.
俺の中で燃えかすのように消えないんだ。
開かない。
これが犯人の名前です。
Resident Evil 7 Biohazard Gold Edition is the complete survival horror package coming to Nintendo Switch 2 on February 27, 2026, delivering one of the franchise's most intense and atmospheric entries in its definitive form. Played from a first-person perspective, the game follows Ethan Winters as he searches for his missing wife inside a decaying plantation in rural Louisiana, slowly uncovering the disturbing secrets of the Baker family. Gameplay focuses heavily on tension-driven exploration, environmental puzzle solving, and careful resource management, with combat designed to feel desperate and grounded rather than empowering. Progression encourages methodical movement, observation, and smart item use as you navigate claustrophobic interiors filled with unpredictable threats. The Gold Edition includes all major downloadable content, expanding both story and challenge through additional chapters and modes that deepen the overall narrative and replay value. Storytelling relies on atmosphere, environmental details, and unsettling encounters rather than constant exposition, reinforcing a strong sense of vulnerability and isolation.
What the fuck? What is that?
What the fuck are you talking about?
Love Eternal is a psychological horror platformer coming to Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Switch 2 on February 19, 2026, built around precise movement, environmental puzzles, and an oppressive sense of atmosphere. You play as Maya, a teenage girl abruptly pulled from an ordinary moment into a surreal and hostile world ruled by a lonely, godlike presence, where escape is the only goal. Gameplay focuses on tight 2D platforming combined with a core gravity-flipping mechanic that lets you invert orientation mid-air, turning ceilings into paths and forcing careful timing to survive deadly traps, lasers, and shifting level geometry. Rather than fast reflexes alone, progression demands spatial awareness and deliberate control, with each room designed as a self-contained challenge. Storytelling is delivered subtly through visual cues, unsettling environments, and fragmented encounters, allowing themes of obsession, control, and isolation to emerge naturally without heavy exposition. The pixel art style and haunting sound design reinforce the psychological tension, making Love Eternal a focused, unsettling experience where mechanical difficulty and narrative unease are closely intertwined. Yakuza Kiwami 3 and Dark Ties is an action-adventure bundle coming to Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Switch 2 on February 12, 2026, delivering a modern remake of Yakuza 3 alongside a brand new story expansion. Gameplay centers on free-roaming urban districts where fights break out seamlessly, blending classic beat-em-up combat with weapon use, counters, and context-sensitive actions that emphasize positioning and crowd control. Kazuma Kiryu's combat is refined with modern responsiveness, combining his iconic Dragon of Dojima style with influences drawn from Okinawan fighting techniques, while the world is packed with sub-stories, mini-games, and side activities that balance drama with humor. The main story follows Kiryu as he leaves the Yakuza life behind to run an orphanage in Okinawa, only to be pulled back into violent conflicts involving land disputes, political schemes, and clan power struggles that threaten his family. Included in the package, Dark Ties offers a standalone narrative focused on Yoshitaka Mine, exploring his rise within the criminal underworld through a more character-driven perspective that expands the overall lore and emotional weight of the story.
What a pain.
Reanimal is a cinematic survival horror adventure coming to Nintendo Switch 2 on February 13th, 2026, blending tense platforming, stealth, and environmental puzzle solving into a dark, atmospheric journey. You follow a brother and sister as they traverse a twisted version of their homeland after a mysterious disaster, searching for their missing friends while trying to survive encounters with grotesque, mutated creatures. Gameplay emphasizes careful movement, timing, and cooperation, with many obstacles and puzzles designed around working together to progress safely through hostile environments. Exploration is semi-linear, but access to a boat allows optional detours and deeper investigation of the surrounding islands, adding a sense of freedom and discovery. The game supports both solo play with an AI-controlled partner and two-player co-op, making teamwork central to how challenges are approached. Storytelling relies heavily on visual cues, sound design, and unsettling environments, rather than direct exposition, gradually revealing the world's tragedy and horror. Mario Tennis Fever is a fast-paced sports game coming exclusively to Nintendo Switch 2 on February 12, 2026, expanding the Mario Tennis formula with new mechanics and a light-hearted narrative twist. Gameplay stays rooted in accessible tennis fundamentals like timing, positioning, and shot selection, while introducing the Fever system, where rallying and smart play fill a gauge that unleashes powerful fever shots with unique effects that can alter court conditions or disrupt opponents. Each character and racket brings subtle gameplay differences, encouraging experimentation and different playstyles without overwhelming complexity. The game offers a wide range of modes, including traditional tournaments, challenge-based trials, and creative rule variants designed to keep matches unpredictable and fun, both solo and in multiplayer. An adventure mode provides a loose story framework, following the Mario cast through themed challenges that gradually reintroduce mechanics and abilities, using humor rather than deep storytelling. With strong local and online multiplayer support, motion controls, and a focus on energetic rallies over simulation, Mario Tennis Fever aims to deliver a polished, replayable sports experience that balances competitive depth with classic Nintendo charm on Switch 2.
Use slides and leaps and hit shots at sharp angles for a good old back-and-forth rally. Swap between newly added defensive actions and increased offensive moves on the court. In addition, Swing Mode lets you gently swing your Joy-Con 2 controller like
Dragon Quest VII Reimagined is a full remake of the classic JRPG, coming to Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Switch 2 on February 5th, 2026, modernizing one of the series' longest and most story-rich adventures while staying faithful to its core identity. The game follows a young hero from the secluded island of Astard, who uncovers mysterious stone fragments that open gateways to the distant past, allowing the party to restore forgotten lands and slowly rebuild a world shattered by an unknown evil. Gameplay remains rooted in traditional turn-based combat, enhanced with modern quality-of-life improvements such as smoother battle flow, clearer navigation, and refined progression systems. Character growth is driven by an expanded vocation system that encourages experimentation and long-term planning, adding strategic depth without overcomplicating combat. Exploration plays a central role, with puzzle-like progression tied to revisiting different eras, solving regional conflicts, and seeing the consequences of your actions reflected in the present. Resident Evil Requiem is the next mainline survival horror entry coming to Nintendo Switch 2 on February 27th, 2026, returning the series to a darker, more atmospheric focus while expanding its scope. Set decades after the original outbreak, the game revisits the ruins of Raccoon City, now overgrown and reshaped by time, serving as the backdrop for a dual protagonist narrative. You alternate between Leon S. Kennedy, whose experience brings a more confident and combat-ready approach, and Grace Ashcroft, an FBI analyst whose sections emphasize vulnerability, investigation, and survival. Gameplay blends classic Resident Evil elements such as exploration, puzzle solving, and strict resource management with modern refinements, including flexible first or third-person camera options that subtly change how encounters feel. Combat remains tense and deliberate, encouraging smart positioning and careful use of limited supplies against evolved bioorganic threats. Storytelling focuses on uncovering hidden connections between past and present events, using environmental details and character-driven moments to reinforce themes of loss, consequence, and lingering trauma within a familiar yet unsettling setting. And there you have it, the top 20 new games coming to Nintendo Switch and Switch 2 this February 2026. Which of these games are you most excited to play? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss our coverage of these releases when they drop. Thanks for watching Switch Top, and I'll catch you in the next one.